Admiral Zexthara's flagship limped through space, trailing atmosphere and debris. Around him, the proud Dominion fleet was scattered and broken. Less than 90 ships remained from the 500 that had entered Earth's solar system with such confidence. On the bridge of the USS Defiance, Captain Lisa Warren watched the alien retreat through her damaged view screen. "Admiral Morrison, this is Captain Warren. Should we pursue?" Morrison's voice came through the speakers, calm but firm. "Negative, Captain. Let them go. We've made our point." Zexthara couldn't understand it. His fleet was beaten, helpless. The humans could destroy what remained of his ships easily. Why were they stopping? The answer came when Admiral Morrison's face appeared on his screen one final time. "Admiral Zexthara," Morrison said, "I'm offering you the same choice you gave us. Surrender or be destroyed." Zexthara's pride burned like acid in his throat. To surrender to primitives was unthinkable. But to lose his remaining ships and crews was equally unthinkable. "What terms?" he asked quietly. "Simple," Morrison replied. "You leave our solar system. Immediately, you never return. And you deliver a message to your Dominion leadership." "What message?" Morrison's expression was serious, but not cruel. "Tell them that Earth is under the protection of humanity. Any Dominion ship that enters our space will be destroyed. Any Dominion forces that attack human colonies will face the same fate as your fleet." Zexthara wanted to laugh at the arrogance, but the burning wrecks around him made it clear this was no empty threat. "Furthermore," Morrison continued, "we're sharing our defensive technologies with any species that wants them. The age of easy conquest is over, Admiral. You picked the wrong species to bully." Lieutenant Sam Carter flew his fighter in formation with the other survivors of his squadron. They had started the battle with 48 fighters. Only 22 remained, but those 22 had helped destroy the most powerful fleet in known space. "Blue leader to all fighters," Carter said over the radio. "Form up on me. Let's escort these bullies out of our home." The human fighters took position around the retreating alien fleet, not to attack, but to watch. The message was clear. "We're letting you leave, but we're watching every move you make." Dr. Amy Foster was already working on improvements to the Phoenix network. "Admiral, we learned a lot from this battle. Next time, we can make the system even more effective." "Next time?" Morrison asked. "The Dominion won't give up after one defeat. They'll study what happened here and adapt. We need to stay ahead of them." Commander Tony Blake was coordinating the rescue of survivors from damaged ships. "Admiral, final casualty report. We lost 11 ships and over 300 crew members. But we saved 47 billion people on Earth and the colonies." Morrison felt the weight of every lost life. "Make sure their families know they died as heroes. They made this victory possible." Captain Alex Turner was supervising repairs on the USS Vanguard when his communications officer called out. "Captain, we're getting signals from ships across the galaxy." "What kind of signals?" "Species asking about our defensive technology. Word of the battle is spreading fast." Turner smiled. "Put them through to Admiral Morrison. I think he'll want to hear this." On his damaged flagship, Admiral Zexthara received reports from across the Dominion Empire. 3 other conquest fleets had been defeated by species using similar coordinated tactics. The humans weren't just sharing their technology. They were teaching others how to use it. "Admiral," his communications officer said nervously, "we're receiving a message from Dominion High Command." Zexthara knew what that message would say. He had failed in the most spectacular way possible. His career was over. His reputation was destroyed. 47 victories meant nothing compared to 1 defeat by primitives. But something else was happening across the galaxy. Species that had been hiding in fear were now fighting back. The Dominion's reign of terror was cracking. Captain Helen Brooks stood on the bridge of the USS Frontier, watching Earth grow larger as they returned home. Her ship was barely holding together, but it was still flying. "Captain," her tactical officer said, "we are receiving a message from Earth Defense Command. Admiral Morrison wants to speak with all ship captains." Morrison's face appeared on screens throughout the human fleet. Behind him, the flags of Earth's nations hung proudly. "Captains, officers, and crew of the Earth Defense Force," Morrison began. "Today, we faced the impossible and made it possible. We were outnumbered 10-1, outdone by superior technology, and dismissed as primitives." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "But we had something they didn't understand. We had each other. Every human ship fought not just for itself, but for the whole fleet. Every crew member did their job not just to survive, but to help others survive." Chief Engineer Ryan Mitchell listened from the engine room of the USS Defiance, his hands still black with grease from keeping the ship running. "The aliens thought they were conquering just another primitive world," Morrison continued. "They didn't realize they were picking a fight with a species that turns impossible odds into advantages. They didn't understand that humans fight hardest when we're protecting something we love." Sergeant Pete Davis and his Marine team were still searching through alien wreckage, gathering intelligence that would help defend other worlds. "But our victory here is just the beginning," Morrison said. "The Dominion has enslaved 47 worlds. Billions of beings live under their rule. Today, we proved that the Dominion can be beaten. Tomorrow, we help others beat them too." Commander Nina Ross was already coordinating with other species, sharing human tactics and technology. The intelligence network she was building would make future Dominion attacks much harder. On his retreating flagship, Zex Thara heard Morrison's final words through intercepted communications. The Dominion succeeded for so long because they faced each species alone. But humans don't fight alone. We build alliances. We share knowledge. We turn enemies into friends, and friends into family. 6 months later, Admiral Zex Thara sat in a small office on a distant Dominion world, filing reports that no one would read. His fleet command had been given to someone else. His name was now a warning to other Dominion officers about the dangers of underestimating primitive species, but the reports he was filing told a different story. The humans had kept their promise. Human defensive technology was spreading across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered were rising up. The Dominion was losing worlds for the first time in centuries. The latest report was the most shocking. A combined fleet of 12 different species, all using human coordination technology, had destroyed an entire Dominion battle group. The rebellion was spreading faster than the Dominion could stop it. Zex Thara looked out his small window at the stars and wondered how many other species were out there, learning from humanity's example. How many were discovering that coordination could beat superior firepower? How many were realizing that they didn't have to fight alone? On Earth, Admiral Morrison stood in the same command center where he had first seen Zex Thara's massive fleet. But now the screens showed something different. Human ships were spread across dozens of star systems, not conquering but protecting. The network that had saved Earth was now saving other worlds. Dr. Foster entered with a progress report. "Admiral, the latest Phoenix Network installation was completed in the Andorian system. That makes 23 species now protected by our technology. And the Dominion response? They're adapting, but slowly. Their entire military doctrine was built around overwhelming individual targets. Fighting coordinated alliances is completely foreign to them." Morrison smiled. "Good. Let them learn what it's like to be the underdog for a change." Captain Warren, now promoted to Admiral and commanding the USS Defiance II, appeared on the communication screen. "Admiral Morrison, we've just received a message from the Outer Rim. The Velkari, one of the first species conquered by the Dominion, have successfully liberated their homeworld. Morrison felt a surge of pride. Using our coordination protocols, modified and improved, they've developed some innovations we never thought of. We're all learning from each other. That evening, Morrison stood again at his office window, looking up at the stars. But now those stars didn't seem cold and hostile. They were full of friends and allies, species working together to build something better than either conquest or slavery. The age of easy bullying was over. In its place was growing something new, a galaxy where species helped each other instead of conquering each other, where coordination beat domination, where humanity's greatest gift to the universe wasn't better weapons, but better cooperation. Admiral Zexthara had mocked Earth's small fleet and primitive technology. He had never imagined that humanity's real strength wasn't in their ships or their weapons. It was in their refusal to fight alone. The Dominion fleet was trapped in a nightmare of twisted space and coordinated death. Ships that had conquered entire star systems found themselves helpless against an enemy they had dismissed as primitive insects. Admiral Zexthara gripped his command chair as his flagship bucked and shook. The gravity wells created by the human network were draining his shields faster than his generators could recharge them. Engineering. What's happening to our power systems? Admiral, the gravitational distortions are forcing our shield generators to work 3 times harder than normal, his chief engineer reported. We're losing power across all systems. Then shut down the shields and rely on our armor. Sir, if we drop shields now, their weapons will tear us apart. Zexthara turned to the main screen and watched human ships moving through the twisted battlefield like they belonged there. The same gravity wells that were crippling his fleet seemed to help the humans, pushing their ships faster and making their weapons more accurate. Captain Lisa Warren felt the USS Defiance dance through space like it was alive. The network was feeding her information faster than any computer could process. But somehow her human brain was keeping up. She could see the perfect shot before her weapons officer could even aim. Target the cruiser at bearing 270, she ordered. Fire when the gravity well shifts in 4 seconds. The energy beam curved through space, following a path that looked impossible. It struck the alien cruiser's weakest point, just as the ship's shields fluctuated, punching through the hull and causing massive internal explosions. Lieutenant Sam Carter was having the time of his life. His fighter squadron was using the gravity wells like a playground, bouncing between them to attack from angles no sane pilot would attempt. Blue 3, dive through well 7 and come up behind that destroyer, Carter commanded. Blue 5, use well 12 to slingshot around and hit them from above. His pilots moved like they had been fighting in twisted space their entire lives. The alien point defense systems couldn't track targets that seemed to teleport from one position to another. On Earth, Dr. Amy Foster watched her creation in action with tears of joy in her eyes. Admiral, the network is performing beyond all expectations. We're not just disrupting their formation, we're rewriting the rules of space combat. Admiral Morrison nodded, but his face remained grim. Casualties? Commander Blake checked his reports. We've lost 4 more ships, but we've destroyed over 100 of theirs. The USS Frontier is badly damaged, but still fighting. Captain Helen Brooks commanded the USS Frontier from a bridge filled with smoke and sparks. Half her crew was injured, but they kept fighting. Damage control teams to Deck 5. Weapons, I need everything you've got left. Her tactical officer, bleeding from a head wound, called out target coordinates. Cruiser coming around bearing 115. She's damaged, but still dangerous. Show her what dangerous really means, Brooks ordered. The Frontier's remaining weapons fired in perfect coordination with 3 other human ships. The alien cruiser disappeared in a ball of fire and metal. Admiral Zexthara watched ship after ship in his fleet die. Each explosion felt like a personal insult. He had conquered 47 worlds with overwhelming force and superior technology. How were these primitives destroying his armada? Communications. Contact the human admiral, he snarled. Morrison's face appeared on the screen, calm and determined. In the background, Zexthara could see humans working efficiently. No panic or fear. Having trouble, Admiral? Morrison asked. This is impossible, Zexthara roared. Your ships are outnumbered. Your technology is centuries behind ours. You're right about the numbers, Morrison agreed. But you're wrong about the technology. See, while you were building bigger guns and thicker armor, we were solving a different problem. What problem? How to make sure every shot counts. How to turn disadvantages into advantages. How to fight smart instead of just fighting hard. Morrison gestured to his tactical display. Your ships are designed to fight one-on-one battles. Our ships are designed to fight as a team. Your weapons are powerful, but predictable. Our weapons adapt to the battlefield in real time. Chief Engineer Ryan Mitchell was working miracles in the engine room of the USS Defiance. Pipes were leaking, circuits were overloaded, but somehow he kept the ship fighting. Mitchell to bridge. He called through the communication system. I can give you full power for 10 more minutes, then we'll need to shut down for repairs. Make it 15 minutes, Captain Warren replied. Captain, the engines can't take that kind of stress. Then we'll build new engines after we win this battle. Mitchell grinned through the smoke. Aye, Captain. 15 minutes it is. Sergeant Pete Davis led a team of Marines in powered armor through the twisted wreckage of a destroyed alien ship. They were looking for survivors and intelligence, but mostly they were sending a message. Control, this is Marine Team 7, Davis reported. We've secured the alien destroyer. No survivors, but we've downloaded their computer files. Copy. That, Sergeant. What did you find? Davis looked at the alien bodies around him. These aren't warriors, Control. They're bullies. They've been winning fights for so long, they forgot how to actually fight. Commander Nina Ross was coordinating intelligence from all the boarded ships. Admiral, we're learning a lot about Dominion. Tactics. They've never faced coordinated resistance before. Every species they conquered fought individually. Explain, Morrison said. They expect each ship to protect itself. They don't understand fleet-wide coordination. When they see our ships working together, their computers can't predict our moves. Captain Alex Turner was proving that point on the USS Vanguard. His ship was damaged and low on ammunition, but the network was showing him exactly how to make. Every shot mattered. Weapons. Target the enemy flagship's shield generators, he ordered. Fire on my mark, coordinated with the Defiance and the Ranger. 3 human ships fired simultaneously from 3 different angles. The combined assault overloaded Admiral Zexthara's flagship shields, leaving the massive vessel vulnerable. Zexthara felt his ship shake as human weapons found their mark. Damage report. Shields down to 20%, his tactical officer reported. Hull breaches on decks 12 through 15. We're losing atmosphere. How many ships do we have left? The officer checked his display, and his face went pale. Less than 100, Admiral. We've lost over 400 ships. Zexthara couldn't believe what he was hearing. In less than 2 hours, these primitives had destroyed the largest fleet in Dominion history. It was impossible. It was humiliating. But, most of all, it was terrifying. Signal general retreat, he ordered quietly. Admiral? I said signal retreat, Zexthara shouted. Get us out of here before they destroy us all. Admiral Morrison watched the alien fleet begin to turn away from Earth. For a moment, he felt relief. They had done it. They had actually won. But Then he remembered the 47 other worlds that had fallen to these same ships. The billions of beings who are now slaves because no one had been able to stop the Dominion. "Dr. Foster," he said quietly, "how long until the network devices run out of power?" "Maybe 10 more minutes, Admiral." Morrison nodded. "Then we have 10 minutes to finish this. All ships, pursue the enemy. We end this today." Captain Warren smiled. As she heard the order, you heard the Admiral. "All ships, advance. Let's send these bullies home with a message they'll never forget." The human fleet, battered but unbroken, moved forward through the twisted space of their own creation. Behind them, Earth glowed blue and beautiful in the starlight. Ahead of them, the retreating Dominion fleet was about to learn what happened when you picked a fight with humanity. The first shots of the battle lit up space like deadly fireworks. Admiral Zexthara watched with satisfaction as his massive guns tore through the outer human defense line. The primitive ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light and metal. "Two. Easy," he muttered to his bridge crew. "I expected at least some resistance." Captain Lisa Warren gripped her command chair as the USS Defiance shook under enemy fire. Sparks flew from damaged control panels, and the lights flickered. "Damage report," she shouted over the noise. "Hull breach on Deck 7. Chief Engineer Ryan Mitchell called out. "Shield generators at 60% and falling. Keep us moving." Warren ordered. "Deploy the first network device as we pass Marker 7. On the bridge of the USS Vanguard, Captain Alex Turner watched 3 human ships disappear in explosions. "This is madness," he said to his tactical officer. "We're being slaughtered." "Sir, Admiral Morrison is signaling for tactical withdrawal." The communications officer reported. Turner nodded grimly. "All ships fall back to position 2. Make it look desperate." Lieutenant Sam Carter flew his fighter through the chaos, dodging massive energy beams that could vaporize his small ship. Instantly. His squadron was outnumbered 50 to 1, but they had a job to do. "Blue leader to all fighters," Carter spoke into his radio. "Drop your packages at the marked coordinates, then get out of there. Don't try to be heroes." His fighters scattered across the battlefield, each one dropping what looked like a simple communication device before racing away from the alien guns. Admiral Zexthara laughed as he watched the human retreat. "Look at them run, just like all the others." "Commander, send a message to the fleet. I want every ship to pursue. Don't let a single human vessel escape." "Sir," his tactical officer said, "they're dropping some kind of debris as they retreat. Should we investigate?" Zexthara barely glanced at the screen. "Probably damaged equipment or emergency beacons. Ignore them. Focus on the kill." The Dominion fleet surged forward, their massive ships moving faster than anything their size should be able to move. They were hungry for victory, eager to finish what they had started. Admiral Morrison watched the tactical display from Earth. Defense Command. Red dots representing alien ships were moving deeper into the solar system, following the blue dots of the retreating human fleet. Dr. Foster stood beside him, monitoring her special equipment. "Network deployment at 40%, she reported quietly. "The aliens are following the exact path we predicted. Casualties?" Morrison asked. Commander Blake checked his reports. 7 ships destroyed, 12 heavily damaged. The USS Ranger is dead in space, but the crew is alive. Morrison felt each loss like a knife in his heart, but he kept his face calm. They're dying to save humanity. Make sure their sacrifice matters. Captain Warren's ship shuddered as another alien blast struck home. Engineering, how much more? Can we take? Not much, Mitchell replied. I can give you maybe 10 more minutes of fight before the engines give out. That's all we need, Warren said. She looked at her tactical display and saw they were approaching the final position. Deploy Network Device 7 and prepare for the turn. Commander Nina Ross, the intelligence officer, had been monitoring alien communications. Admiral, I'm picking up increased chatter from their fleet. They're confident. Admiral Zexthara is telling his captains that the battle will be over within the hour. Good, Morrison said. The more confident he gets, the deeper into our trap he goes. On his flagship, Zexthara was practically glowing with pleasure. The human fleet was in full retreat, and his ships were picking them off one by one. It was exactly like 47 previous conquests. Admiral, his weapons officer said, we're approaching the human homeworld's inner defense perimeter. They have nowhere left to run. Perfect, Zexthara replied. Signal the fleet. I want the final assault to begin right in front of their planet. Let the survivors watch their world die. The alien admiral opened communications to taunt his defeated enemy. Admiral Morrison, I hope you're watching this. Your brave fleet is about to become space debris. Any last words before I destroy everything you hold dear? Morrison appeared on screen, and Zexthara was surprised to see that the human looked almost calm. Actually, yes, Morrison said quietly. I do have something to say. Speak quickly. You don't have long. Morrison smiled, and something about that smile made Zexthara feel uneasy for the first time. I want to thank you, Admiral. Thank me? For being exactly as arrogant as we hoped you'd be. For chasing us exactly where we wanted you to go. For positioning your entire fleet in the worst possible place. Zexthara's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about, human? Morrison's smile grew wider. Those debris your ships have been ignoring? They weren't random junk. They were the components of something we call Project Phoenix. And you, Admiral, just flew your entire fleet right into the middle of our trap. Impossible, Zexthara snarled. We scanned those objects. They're just simple communication devices. They are communication devices, Morrison agreed. Very special ones. Dr. Foster, would you like to explain to the Admiral what's about to happen to his fleet? Dr. Foster stepped into view on the screen. Admiral Zexthara, your ships are now surrounded by a network of gravity manipulation devices. In approximately 30 seconds, they will activate and create localized space-time distortions around every one of your vessels. Zexthara's face went pale. You're bluffing. No primitive species has that kind of technology. You're right, Morrison said. No primitive species does, but we're not primitive. We're human. And humans have a habit of finding solutions that nobody expects. Dr. Foster continued. Your shields will drain trying to compensate for the gravity wells. Your engines will struggle against the distorted space around them. Your formation will break apart as each ship deals with different gravitational pulls. And then, Morrison added, our ships will stop running and start fighting. But not as 47 separate vessels. As one coordinated weapon system, sharing targeting data and tactical information in real time. Zexthara turned to his crew. Emergency evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here. But it was too late. All across the battlefield. The small devices that the human ships had dropped began to glow. Space itself started to twist and bend around the Dominion fleet. The massive alien ships suddenly found themselves fighting against invisible forces that pulled them in different directions. Admiral Morrison to all human ships. Morrison's voice rang out across the communication channels. Execute Phoenix Protocol. Show them what happens when you corner humanity. Captain Warren felt her damaged ship surge with new power as the network came online. Suddenly, she could see through the sensors of every other human vessel. She knew exactly where every enemy ship was, exactly where they would be, and exactly how to hurt them. All weapons fire, she commanded. 40 human ships opened fire as one, their shots perfectly coordinated by the network. Energy beams that should have missed their targets curved through the twisted space to strike home. Missiles that should have been intercepted found paths that no computer could predict. Admiral Zexthara watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to burn. The Dominion fleet moved through space like a dark cloud of death. Admiral Zexthara stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his screens. Earth looked so peaceful, so helpless. Admiral, his communications. Officer said, "The human fleet has taken defensive positions around their homeworld and the red planet they call Mars." Zexthara laughed. "Show me these defenders." The tactical display lit up with red dots showing Earth's ships. They were scattered in a loose formation, trying to cover as much space as possible. It was exactly what Zexthara expected from a primitive species. "Pathetic," he said. "Look at how they position themselves. No coordination. No real strategy. They're trying to protect everything and will end up protecting nothing." On Earth, Admiral Morrison stood in the command center, watching the same tactical display. Captain Lisa Warren was beside him, her face tense. "Admiral Zexthara is sending another transmission," Commander Blake reported. "Put him on screen," Morrison said. The alien's face appeared again, but this time he looked amused rather than angry. "Admiral Morrison, I assume? I wanted to personally thank you for arranging such an entertaining display." Morrison kept his face blank. "We're ready to defend our world." "Defend?" Zexthara's laughter filled the room. "With those toy ships?" "I have personally conquered species with fleets 3 times your size. The Velkari had over 200 ships when I destroyed their homeworld. The Threks had weapons that could crack moons. All of them believed they were special, just like you. Do now." The alien admiral walked closer to his camera. "Do you know what I told the Velkari admiral before I killed him? I told him that resistance only makes the final surrender sweeter. The same thing I'm telling you now." Morrison clenched his jaw, but said nothing. "I'm feeling generous today." Zexthara continued. "Surrender now, and I'll let you serve as governor of the slave camps. Your species will work for the Dominion, but at least some will live. Continue this foolish resistance, and I'll make sure every human dies slowly." "Our answer remains the same," Morrison said quietly. "We will never surrender." Zexthara's amusement faded. "Then you will all die. But first, you'll watch your fleet burn. I want you to see how helpless you really are." The transmission ended. Morrison immediately turned to Dr. Foster, who had been standing quietly in the corner. "Doctor, it's time. Explain Project Phoenix to everyone." Dr. Foster stepped forward nervously. "What I'm about to tell you cannot leave this room. Project Phoenix isn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It's a trap." Captain Warren frowned. "What kind of trap?" "For the past 5 years, we've been developing a network-based defense system. Instead of building bigger guns or stronger shields, we focused on coordination and deception." Dr. Foster activated a holographic display. Every human ship has been equipped with special devices that look like communication buoys. When deployed, they create an invisible network across the battlefield. "What does the network do?" "Commander," Blake asked. "It creates localized gravity distortions. Small ones barely detectable, but enough to disrupt enemy shields and propulsion systems. The beautiful part is that it only affects ships that aren't transmitting the correct harmonic frequency." Morrison smiled grimly. "And only human ships know that frequency." "Exactly. But there's more. The network doesn't just create gravity wells. It also coordinates our ships in real time, allowing them to work together like a single organism. Every shot, every movement, every tactical decision can be synchronized across the entire fleet." Captain Warren looked amazed. "So while they see 47 individual ships, we actually fight as one massive weapon system," Dr. Foster finished. "But it only works if the enemy fleet is positioned exactly where we want them. And how do we do that? Blake asked. Morrison answered. We run. We make them think they're winning. We let them chase us deeper into the solar system, deploying our network devices as we retreat. By the time they realize what's happening, they'll be trapped in the middle of our web. Lieutenant Sam Carter, a young fighter pilot, spoke up from the back of the room. Sir, what about those of us in the smaller ships? How do we survive long enough to set this trap? Morrison looked at the young man seriously. Lieutenant, I won't lie to you. The first part of this battle is going to be hell. Some of us won't make it to see the trap spring. But every minute we hold out, every second we stay alive, brings U.S. closer to victory. Chief Engineer Ryan Mitchell, who had been studying the technical data, raised his hand. Doctor, what happens if the network fails? What if their technology can counter it? Then we die, Dr. Foster said simply. But Admiral, I've run the calculations hundreds of times. Their ships are designed to fight traditional battles against traditional enemies. They've never faced anything like this. Captain Alex Turner, who commanded one of Earth's newest ships, the USS Vanguard, looked worried. Admiral, this plan requires perfect timing. One mistake, one ship out of position, and the whole thing falls apart. That's why we've been training for this scenario for months without knowing it, Morrison replied. Every drill, every exercise, every formation practice has been preparing you for this moment. You're ready, even if you don't know it yet. On his flagship, Admiral Zexthara was giving orders to his fleet commanders. Begin the final approach. I want this over quickly. Target their largest ships first, then work your way down. Leave a few of the smallest ones intact, so they can witness the destruction of their homeworld. His tactical officer pointed to the display. Admiral, the humans appear to be falling back toward their inner planets. Of course they are, Zexthara said dismissively. They want to die near their home. It's a common psychological response among primitive species. Let them retreat. It will make them easier to destroy when they have nowhere left to run. Back on Earth, Morrison addressed his captains one final time over the communication system. Captains, you all know your roles. The next few hours will determine the fate of humanity. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every free species in the galaxy. If we can prove that the Dominion can be beaten, others will follow our example. Captain Warren checked her ship's systems one last time. Admiral, the USS Defiance is ready. USS Vanguard, ready for battle, Captain Turner reported. One by one, all 47 ships confirmed their readiness. Morrison took a deep breath. Then let's give Admiral Zexthara the fight of his life. All ships, begin tactical withdrawal. Make it look panicked, but stay in formation. Deploy the first network devices as soon as the enemy is in range. As the Dominion fleet advanced, Zexthara opened communications one more time. Admiral Morrison, this is your last chance. Surrender now and die quickly. Continue fighting, and I'll make sure your world burns for days. Morrison's response would be remembered in human history forever. Admiral Zexthara, you've made one critical error in all your calculations. You assume we fight like every other species you've conquered. You're about to learn why that assumption will cost you everything. The alarm bells rang through the Earth Defense Command Center. Admiral Jake Morrison looked at the main screen and felt his heart sink. 500 alien ships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were massive, dark shapes that blocked out the stars behind them. Sir, we're getting a transmission, said Commander Tony Blake. His voice was steady, but Morrison could see the fear in his eyes. Put it on screen, Morrison ordered. The image that appeared made everyone in the room step back. The alien was tall, with green scales and yellow eyes that seemed to glow. Sharp teeth filled its mouth when it spoke. I am Admiral Zexthara of the Dominion Empire, the creature said. Its voice was deep and cold. "Your pathetic world now belongs to us. You have 72 hours to surrender completely, or we will destroy every living thing on your planet." The alien Admiral laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "I have looked at your so-called fleet. 47 tiny ships? This is what you call a defense force? My smallest cruiser could destroy 10 of your largest battleships without effort." Morrison's hands made fists at his sides. Around the room, his officers looked shocked and angry. "Your technology is centuries behind ours," Sextara continued. "Your weapons cannot even scratch our shields. Your ships move like slugs compared to ours. You are insects trying to fight a storm." The alien leaned forward, showing more of those sharp teeth. "I have conquered 47 different worlds. Each species thought they were special. Each one believed they could resist the Dominion. They all begged for mercy in the end. You will too." The screen went black. The command center was silent for a long moment. Admiral, Captain Lisa Warren, spoke first. "Our ships are already moving to defensive positions. But sir, the numbers ... "I know the numbers, Captain," Morrison said quietly. 500 against 47. Ships 10 times larger than ours. Weapons we've never faced before. Dr. Amy Foster, the head of weapons research, stepped forward. "Admiral, I've been studying the sensor data from their ships. Their energy shields are unlike anything we've seen. Our current weapons might not be able to break through." "Might not?" Morrison asked. "Will not," Dr. Foster admitted. "At least, not with standard attacks." Commander Blake pulled up tactical displays. "Sir, even if we fight perfectly, even if we destroy 3 of their ships for every one we lose, we'll still be wiped out. And that's the best-case scenario." Morrison walked to the large window that looked out over Earth Defense Command. He could see the lights of the city below. Millions of people going about their lives, not knowing that death was coming from the stars. "Admiral," Captain Warren said softly, "maybe we should consider their terms. If we surrender, at least some people might live." Morrison turned around. "Captain, do you know what happened to the other 47 worlds that surrendered to the Dominion?" Warren shook her head. "They're slave worlds now. The lucky ones work in mines until they die. The unlucky ones are used for experiments. The Dominion doesn't want to rule us, Captain. They want to own us. Double quotes, Dr. Foster spoke up. "There might be another option, Admiral." Morrison looked at her. "Go on. Project Phoenix. It's single quotes S. Experimental. We've never tested it in real combat." "What is it?" Dr. Foster glanced around the room nervously. "I can't explain it here. Too many people. But if it works, we might have a chance." Morrison nodded slowly. "Commander Blake, send a message to all ship captains. Emergency meeting in 1 hour. Captain Warren, I want every ship ready for battle in 12 hours. "Sir," Warren said, "what should I tell the crews about our chances?" Morrison was quiet for a moment. "Tell them the truth. We're outnumbered. We're outgunned. By every reasonable measure, we should lose this fight in minutes." The officers looked confused. "But also tell them this," Morrison continued. "Humans have never been reasonable. We've always fought impossible battles. We've always found ways to win when we shouldn't. This alien thinks we're just another species to conquer. He's about to learn something about humanity that 47 other worlds never had the chance to teach him." Dr. Foster smiled for the first time that day. "What's that, sir? We don't fight like other species, Doctor. We don't just fight to survive. We fight to win. And when someone threatens our home, our families, our way of life, we become something that no alien conqueror has ever faced before." Morrison turned back to the window. In the distance, he could see the first of Earth's ships moving into position. They looked so small against the stars. "Sir, Commander Blake asked. "What do we tell Admiral Zexthara when he contacts us again?" Morrison's reflection in the window showed a small smile. "We tell him exactly what he expects to hear, that we're scared, that we know we can't win, that we're just another primitive species about to be conquered." "But, sir, why would we want him to think that?" "Because, Commander, the biggest advantage we have is that he already underestimates us. Let's make sure he keeps doing that right up until the moment his ships start burning." The room was silent again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was determination. They had work to do.